Alright, hey everyone, Narf here. I just thought I would do a ban list reaction video because everyone's been doing their ban list reaction videos and I thought I'd get in on this. So let's go look. So, there's not too many changes this time. First, we got Union Carrier. Now, Union Carrier is really interesting. Basically, Beaver Warrior OTK really depended on Union Carrier because they would basically use it so they could go into Verte. And after they would do that, they could get Beaver Warrior, Hane Hane, all these really important cards to the metagame that they need to pull off their combos. Now, without Union Carrier, they're going to have a much harder time getting themselves to deal with brick hands. They're not going to be able to pull off the Zodiac combos. They can't summon their rank 10 trains. And most importantly, they're just going to have to fixate mostly on the Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the End plan. Sorry, Envoy of the Beginning. My bad. It's been a little while since I've done one of these. So that means that they're probably going to switch over to more aggressive builds that plan to survive a few more turns. Maybe go second, play more of the going second tools. Because the fact is, Union Carrier was really integral to the going first, but like control-y decks, right? They needed it to set up their negates. They needed it to set up, Beaver Warrior itself. Without it, they're gonna have a much harder time. They're basically just gonna have to wait to draw Beaver Warrior. I mean, I guess you could play like normal warrior, normal monster support, but since it's a Beast Warrior, that's a little tricky. I guess they could go into like Tri Brigades, but I'm pretty sad to see this for Beast Warrior. Pinned Eldritch, of course, is gonna be really excited to see this because they had a terrible, just absolutely horrible Beaver Warrior OTK matchup. But now that Beaver Warrior is going to have to slow down and go second, Pinned Eldritch they just are the absolute master of the late game. Once they can set up their board, they can just deal with all the going second tools and just take that out. Roid Predaplants is going to be a little interesting. Basically, they don't really need Union Carrier, but it was nice, but they can live without it. Alright, next, let's see what's up. Ooh, let's see. Utopic Zexal. So, Utopic Zexal and True King of all calamities. What do you know? Everyone was expecting that. It's a little funny, though, that they're banning, cards from the weakest deck in the format. I'm a little surprised by that. Basically, the deal with Utopic Zexal is it essentially locks down your opponent's entire turn. So, that's fairly powerful. We've had some cards that could do this in the past that were dealt with. But in the current metagame, it's not really doing anything. The only deck that can really play Utopic Zexal is, specialized decks that specifically are designed to go into it. Like, I don't know, Gravekeeper's Invoked, like, there's only really that. And overall, like, no one's playing Gravekeeper's Invoked. Like, they're trying, but Alistair the Invoker is your normal. Like, what is this, 2013? Okay, so next we have True King. True King, of course, as I mentioned, is the weakest deck in the format right now. You do see True King sometimes sideboarded into those Roid lists, especially if they're also playing Ojamas, because they can use Armed Dragon support to go into their level 9 Armed Dragons, The new structure deck really helped that out, actually, so I think they're probably really worried about these Armed Dragons that came out earlier this year, in the set that introduced War Rocks. I mean, the fact is that, of course, no one was really paying attention because War Rocks are just absolutely crushing the meta right now, but nevertheless, I can understand them being a little worried about that sort of thing. So I guess it makes sense that they wouldn't want Ojamas to be able to, like, summon their Armed Dragon boss monsters and then go straight into True King and shut down your opponent. You'll notice that basically both the and Utopic Zexal do the same thing of shutting down your opponent's turn. Really interesting, because it seems like they're basically saying that only... they're basically saying that the only tier 1 deck that should be allowed to shut down their opponent's turn is Arcana Force, and Arcana Force, of course, has gotten a lot of really new tools in the last few years. There's been the Ritual Monster, and of course, number 17, the Tower. Absolutely impressive. Sorry, is it number 16? I can never remember those numbers. There's like 23 different Arcana Force cards. You can't really keep track of them. Alright, let's see. Cyber Angel Benton is limited. So this kind of makes sense. I mean, those, like, Blackluster Soldier decks were just getting out of control. And I don't think I even need to talk about what was happening with Hungry Burger. Like, the Hungry Burger first turn kills were really worrying, and it was entirely because they could chain through Cyber Angel Bentons. Like, the new Hungry Burger support coming in, Sins of the Past, that's going to be really serious, and I think they're doing this as a preemptive ban, to stop Hungry Burger OTK from just completely destroying the meta. Like, I talked about all those decks that they're trying to balance out a little bit. you know, and trying to make, you know, a more interactive Beaver Warrior OTK. But we all know that Hungry Burger OTK was just the strongest deck by far as far as OTK decks in the current format are concerned. So in general, I think this is a good choice. And since they're only going down to one, I think Hungry Burger will not be like completely destroyed as an archetype, but it might have to rely on, you know, backup beaters like Dokuro Rider. You know, has pretty competitive card, hasn't seen play in a few years. And, you know, maybe even Necros. I mean, everyone makes fun of Necros because it's like, you know, as ritual archetypes go, they're historically pretty weak, but you never know. I mean, I think that with Ben 10 still limited, people won't be paying attention to ritual spells anymore. They won't be able to play all the counterplay tools that we needed in the past to deal with Hungry Burger, because they'll be more focused on, you know, stuff like the upcoming pinned Eldritch Abomination, stuff like that. So I think this is a really good choice, actually. I really applaud Oknami on this. Now here we have Unlimited. Now Dragon Buster Destruction Sword is interesting. Basically, Buster Blader, of course, is the most competitive deck. Was the most competitive deck between like 2017 and 2018, but the metagame has really shifted, especially like with the changes in how pendulum decks are built. I don't really think Dragon Buster is going to change things much. Like, it had some nice combos, especially with Cyber Angel Benton, but you know, you're still just going to see Dragoon from Verte Anaconda, and even though it shuts down dragons and stuff, it's just not going to be a big deal. Firewall Dragon, it got errated, or rather, it will get errated, as you can see right here. And, you know, it's not that bad. I mean, everyone should update their firewalls, so I don't think it's going to be relevant. Rusty Bardiche. What can I say about Phantom Knights? You know, they keep trying to give them support, but they've never done anything. So the fact that they even had to ban Rusty Bardiche because everyone else was using it is a little sad. But I'm really hoping that maybe with an unlimited Rusty Bardiche, the removal of some of the main consistency tools from Beaver Warrior OTK, and the limiting of Hungry Burger OTK's tools, you know, maybe Phantom Knights will be able to go back in with something like a Vindred strategy, you know? They set that up. And of course, there's always Dark Magician Phantom Knights, which is, you know, absolutely cool deck, but absolutely terrible. You never know. You never know. I'm just saying, its natural predators are gone. Dulorian, of course, strongest of the Ice Barrier cards. As we know, Ice Barriers were top tier. They were fully competitive back in like 2015, just absolutely shredded. It was the only thing you could say, just tier 0. But then they lost Dulurin, and they lost, you know, their most important, you know, Gungnir. And without Dulurin and Gungnir, there was just no point to playing the other ones. Like, what were you left going into Trishula? You know, just obviously that wasn't a thing. Dulurin coming back is really interesting, but I think the Ice Barriers have lost most of their main consistency tools, so it's just not a big deal anymore. Ignister Prominence, I don't care about Draco Slayers. I pretend they don't exist. Rank Up Magic Argent Chaos Force. So this is only going to be used in those very specific decks that need to go into Assault Mode Ojamas. Like, other than that, no one's going to care about it. And True King's Return, you know, it's pretty funny to unlimit because they got rid of the True King, but what can I say? True Kings, again, I said it's not a particularly strong deck. They lost their main boss monster, so, you know, they're probably just going to go back to slumming, losing the die roll, and horribly wishing that they could do anything against, you know, Hungry Burger decks. Like, you know, it's just been consistently, like, even when the Hungry Burger being weak, the fact that they just have to immediately scoop and go to sideboard against that is just kind of pathetic. Like, there's no way True Kings are going to come back, especially with their boss, the only game plan they have against Hungry Burger Nerf. So that's the ban list. It was pretty conservative this time around, but I think it did an alright job. I am pretty worried about the effect that the upcoming sets will have, especially the Predaplant decks. But, you know, I think this was pretty interesting, and I hope you enjoyed this video.